Welcome to the Master Passive Income Podcast, where we talk about investing in real estate rental properties with a special focus on making enough money so you can quit your job and live the dream life. And now, here is your host, Dustin Heiner.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Master Passive Income Show. My name is Dustin Heiner, and I'm here to help you learn how to quit that J-O-B, that just over broke job, by investing in real estate rental properties so you never, ever have to work a job again. I'm super excited to share with you guys. I'm interviewing a fantastic success story from the Real Estate Wealth Builders, my student community here, as well as a one-on-one coaching. I'm bringing on Haley and Trevor. They are fantastic investors. In fact, they just house hacked and bought a house and are living in one unit. The other unit is rented, and they're making money, and they're going to be able to do it all over again. It's such a fantastic opportunity for them. They did some great work. So you're going to hear in this interview how they did it and how you can too. And you can actually watch this entire interview. I actually recorded it, and Trevor, Haley, and myself are all on the same screen. So if you go to my YouTube channel, masterpassiveincome.com/YouTube, you will be able to see everything that we're talking about. And I want you to become a subscriber of my YouTube channel because I'm giving out so much more great real estate investing information on the YouTube channel. Subscribe. And if you do subscribe, let's do this. I'm going to give you the opportunity to actually get my best-selling book, How to Quit Your Job with Rental Properties, in PDF form and audiobook. I will literally give that to you completely for free. All you need to do is send me a screenshot. Take that screenshot of you subscribing, that basically the subscribe button is now grayed out instead of being red. I want you to take a screenshot of that and send it to hello@masterpassiveincome.com. Hello@masterpassiveincome. It literally comes to me. It doesn't go to anybody else, but hello@masterpassiveincome.com. Send that screenshot to me, and I will give you my best-selling book, How to Quit Your Job with Rental Properties, in PDF and audiobook format, completely for free. I've actually had many people already do that and get my book for free and get so much more great real estate investing information on my YouTube channel. I really would like to see more and more people invest in real estate. All right, you guys are fantastic. Let's jump into today's show, where we're going to be talking with Trevor and Haley about how they house hacked and how they became successful investors and will continue to build their business. All right, let's do this. Trevor and Haley, thank you so much for being with me on the show.
Of course, thank you.
Now, I remember when we first started working together, we started thinking about how we can start investing, what you guys want to do. You already did have a little bit of a plan about, the direction, maybe house hack or something like that. What got you guys in that path of wanting to invest in real estate as opposed to, just regular renting or anything like that? Like, what got you down that path?
Renting seemed like a waste of money. So for us, we really wanted to get into a house of our own. We've both talked about it since we met. So it was really important to us since we got a new job, to get into something. And because we're truck drivers, so we're gone 6 days a week, and we're only home for about 24 hours, sometimes a little more. And paying rent somewhere seemed ridiculous. And then on top of that, paying for a single family home just for ourselves was insane too. So we decided to go with the route of like house hacking, and we got into a duplex. So we have a renter in one side and we live in the other for now while we continue to invest in other properties.
Very cool. Now, you mentioned that you guys are truck drivers. This is the great thing about real estate investing, is just everyday people can absolutely do this. Now, getting from the beginning where you're starting to do in truck driving, you're starting to save money. Talk to us a little bit about the lead up to where, before you actually started investing, before we started working and coaching and everything, what were you guys doing before? It was just truck driving and then realized, hey, this is what I want to do? Or like, what is that starting from the truck driving, or was it something before that?
Yeah, basically once we started that new job, we kind of were at the income level to where like, hey, we have some extra money here. What do we want to do with it? And then we kind of jumped into the truck as like a 5-year plan. Just kind of like, we're going to sit here and save money for the next 5 years and just stick it all in the bank. And then we'll figure out from there, like start a business. We have always kind of wanted to start a restaurant, or just always all kinds of little different ideas that we have with starting a business. And then she started kind of researching some investing podcasts. And then she heard like the Rich Dad, Poor Dad And then I think I did the same thing. I kind of just searched investing on my iPhone, and you were one of the first podcasts that came up.
Awesome.
And just that from the very intro, like making enough money for you to quit your job. I'm like, oh yeah, this is the guy. We're listening to him. So, but I think that first day I listened to like 5 episodes, and she woke up while we were in the truck, and I'm like, babe, this is what we're doing.
We've always kind of talked about like flipping houses. It's something like we've wanted to do. And like the idea of like investing in real estate and like in general has always kind of been in the back of both of our minds, I think, far before we met. And it just worked out so perfectly.
Yeah, we had kind of like tossed around the idea of like flipping houses, eventually and stuff like that. But
I don't think we knew how realistic it was, especially being gone all the time. And
yeah, getting into your first investment, being a house hack, I think for anybody is a brilliant, brilliant way to do it. In fact, you're getting somebody else to basically pay your mortgage, which is amazing. And for you guys being on the road 6 days a week, so for everybody listening and watching this on YouTube, you're hearing some sounds, and that's basically the dogs. So they have dogs. I'm just curious, how do you do with the dogs for 6 days while you're gone? Is somebody else watching them?
They come with us.
Yeah.
What? That is so cool.
For this, yeah, we have 2 pit bulls and a little Maltese, so it's fun.
That's awesome.
About 140 pounds worth of dog.
Very cool. Okay, so what was the amount of money that you first got started with and realized, hey, we actually can do this? Because, people think that you need a lot of money or you need inherit money or something like that. But how much money did you guys have to start with?
Well, so, initially when we started driving, we had pretty much no savings.
We were like paycheck to paycheck at the time.
And then once we started saving, I'd say we saved up $20,000 really quick. It just happened that it worked out that way.
Well, when you're working 6 days a week, like all the time, yeah, you work hard and you can't do it.
We basically doubled our income when we jumped in the truck. So I know that's not everybody's situation. And then I also cashed out my 401 from my old job just to kind of be able to do some extra, once we bought it, we were planning on doing renovations and stuff. But yeah, so we had a good chunk of money
I think
that we were just ready to go.
We only put like $3,500 down though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was $3,500 that we put down on our duplex. We paid $173,889 for it. So.
Oh my goodness, that's phenomenal. So what was it, FHA loan that you used?
Yeah.
So it's an FHA loan, and I don't know what they did. We kind of just fell into this. It was supposed to be $6,000 down total, I believe, or something around that number. And we gave them the initial $3,500, and they never asked for more. So we
got away with that.
No questions asked.
We because I think like 3% of the 174 is like around $6,000 or whatever, and so we put the initial deposit down, and they never asked for any more.
I love it.
That's okay.
What's going to be great is, so as you guys become better and better investors, you're actually going to buy a house and they're going to give you money. So those are a little more advanced strategies. We got to work a little harder at that. Now, I remember when we first started coaching and you were thinking, basically you want to do a house hack, but we're trying to figure out where. You obviously are going to be living there, but you're like, well, we don't have to literally live in the exact same city that we're in now. We can go into the surrounding areas. Talk to us about how you were able to find an area and then realize this is a possibility where we can actually buy further away from us and have that as our house hack.
So I grew up out here in West Michigan, and she kind of grew up in like mid Michigan, and we had been staying out with her parents, but we knew we wanted to be on this side of the state because it's closer to our work hub. But yeah, so I kind of knew the area, and I kind of had an idea of different, like where's more expensive areas to invest and where's a little bit farther out where you can get the better deals. And the first one that you're saying, like we had looked at was in kind of like a depressed area, I guess our realtor explained it to us as. So it was like really good deals. We were looking at this upper lower duplex, and he kind of pointed us away because I remember we had emailed you like, hey, we found one, we're going to jump on it. And you're like, all right, here's the plan, let's move forward. But then he kind of came to us and was like, no, you don't really want to go there. And I'm glad he did that because there's still that one we were actually looking at is still on the market. and there's other renters. There's other properties in the area with no renters. So I'm really glad we didn't go with that one.
And that's the beautiful thing about, if you do it right and you build the business first, you're going to save yourself headaches like that, because you're going to have those headaches if you don't do it right. You're going to buy a bad house and you're like, oh my goodness, this is the worst thing. I can't believe people actually do this. Well, we have experts in every single area that we hire. They're the ones that actually make sure that we're going to buy the right properties because they know the right properties. So that is awesome. Great advice. Now, when you actually bought the house, what was the purchase price and what was the original asking price for the house?
The asking price for the house was $174,900.
Yeah.
And we went in at $164,000 and they kind of laughed in our faces. So we bought it for $173,889, which was just kind of an absurd number, but we went for it. Because of the area that we're in, duplexes aren't really widely available, especially anything that we were looking for. There's some downtown Grand Rapids that and just absolutely no yard. And because we have dogs, that was something we needed a little bit of. And then the other ones, downtown Grand Rapids too, they need a lot of work. So we got into this one, pretty much didn't have to do anything. When we moved in, everything's pretty solid. There's a couple little minor updates that we'll have to do in the future, but
yeah, and our realtor was like, you're crazy going in 10 under, he's like, they might just not even respond to this offer. And I'm like, well, that's fine. They can take it or leave it,
exactly.
But we're not paying full price, So I was trying to talk them down, but
you really, got them down $1,000. I mean, that's an extra $1,000 in your pocket.
Yep. And really in this area, because he said that's the first house that he's seen in the last 5 years go for under asking. And because really people are offering like 10, 20,000 over asking.
Because they're not investors like you guys are. You guys are investors. We do it right to where we're making money. Even when we buy the property, we're still making money.
Right. Yeah. Yep. So that was really cool. Like you said, I was kind of like feeling down about it. I'm like, man, I didn't really talk them down that much. But you're like, hey, man, you saved $1,000. I'm like, yeah, I did. That's cool.
I mean, imagine paying $10,000 over. I mean, that's just even more money out of your pocket, whereas you saved $1,000. Plus, if you look at everything about this property now, talk to us about now the mortgage and your tenant. Like, how much can you rent it for now? And then if and when you do move out and you actually now have the duplex where both sides are rented, how much would you make in passive income?
So our mortgage ended up being a little bit more than we had hoped for. Like when we were going through the lending process, they came back with one number and like, it's going to be this much. And then they came back with a number and I didn't learn from your mistake in Texas and ask about local taxes.
Oh man!
So that was kind of a last minute thing too that they threw in there. It was like a village tax, and we're like, "What are you talking about?" And so the number kept going up. But so basically, our mortgage ended up being about $1,400.
It's just under
under $1,400 a month. But the other side rents out for $935.
And that's currently in the area. We can probably get quite a bit more. They were only at $900 when we bought the duplex. So we increased that, not quite the 5% that you're allowed per year in Michigan, but in the future, especially now that our side is completely renovated, we should be able to get no less than like $1,050 for this side, just with where we're at.
So
it's a 2-bedroom. So
yeah, so you also have the PMI. So PMI is where you're paying a little bit. It's a mortgage insurance that you have to pay. Now, if you did refinance in the future, hopefully you can remove that PMI. That would lower your total amount of expenses coming out of your pocket.
And we plan to do that within the next probably year or so.
Absolutely. And so right now they're paying $935. And I remember as I was coaching you guys through it, we were thinking, okay, the price that they're paying is rather low. We can probably get them up. And so what we could do a number of different things. Number one, we could just kick them out. Like say, here, 30-day notice to vacate, 60-day notice. We could literally do that and get somebody else in there. It's kind of a jerk move, but you have that option. Other options is just maybe do a 6-month increase or a 1-year increase and just gradually let them, and you're letting them know, hey, the rents are about $300 above where you're at right now. We don't want to really jack it up on you, and we can't, but we're going to slowly move it up a little bit to make it to where it will be equitable for us because, we're buying it. Now, if and when you do rent out this one, you said about $1,000 for your unit right now?
Somewhere around there, depends on, we'll probably be here for the next 5 years while we're still in the truck. So it kind of just depends on how the area blows up. Everything around here is just prices are skyrocketing. So hopefully that.
Yeah, comparable units go for about anywhere from 800 to like 1,100 a month. So we figured we're right in the middle right now. But like some of them, they go higher. They have garages and they have, just other benefits that we don't really have here, I guess. But
this is a suggestion. I think you guys would be fantastic, especially you're thinking 5 years, you're definitely going to still be driving the truck. This is what I would do. Number one, you have the duplex. You have 2 units right now. And so if they're both rented, it's going to be around $2,000. So you'll probably be pocketing around at least $500 a month at minimum from this one property if it's both rented. What I would do is I would really look quickly to, in 6 months, refinancing the house and getting into a conventional loan so to free up that FHA loan. From there, literally buy another duplex as your FHA, move into that one. You have this one now rented. So next year, you're actually going to have 3 units because you're living in one. You have a total of 2 different duplexes, and you're using an FHA loan all over again. You're basically doing it all over again, and you're making $500 or $600 a month from this current duplex. What do you guys think about that strategy?
I think it's definitely. I think that was the whole point of signing up for your coaching, and I think you've got a really good system, and because that was another thing. We skipped over that, but when we started telling people hey, we're going to start investing, and we're going to do this rental property thing, and people oh, you don't want to do that, and dealing with bad tenants, and people destroying your properties, and blah blah
Everyone
blah.
There's just
so many negative people out there, but it's and then it was so awesome to be after listening to you, to be yeah, but you just do this, and yeah, but you just do this, and yeah, that's why you have a property manager, and yeah, that's why you build your team first, and it was just you have an answer for every negative thing that somebody had to say, so it was really nice.
Awesome.
And I think there's always going to be, especially within families and friends, there's always going to be people that have negative things to say, but there's always going to be lessons to learn too. We're never, even with all of your coaching and everything we learned through that, obviously there were still some things that we slacked off a little bit on. And I think with every property,
is different,
and you said you were talking about COVID and us going through this entire process during COVID, and we passed up on a lot of probably really good opportunities just because we knew we were going to be living here. And with the 3 dogs, there were a couple things that we absolutely had to have. And the yard was the biggest thing. We had to have something for them to go outside in. But
yeah, there were dozens of properties we could have just jumped on, but yeah.
And good properties. I ran the numbers on all of them, and they all worked out for the most part. I didn't go that in depth with the ones that I knew were just an absolute no, but, yeah, I think there's a lot to be learned with everyone. We had to because of COVID, we sat in our car to sign our paperwork for our mortgage by ourselves. That was a little intimidating because, again, it's our first property and we had no idea what we were signing. So, but it worked out.
But the system works, I think, is the moral of the story. But yeah.
Now, let me ask you, when you are going to be going and taking that step, there's always fear that most people have when they are getting into that first property. They're really just going to pull the trigger. Do you guys have that fear? And if so, how did you guys get around that?
I was really afraid that we were just going to flop and lose all of our money that we put into this. But I think for us, especially with getting into a duplex, it was all right, well, at least we have a place of our own and we're still making some money. And if worse came to worse and I did all of my math wrong and I just completely messed up, we could pay off a little bit of the mortgage and get to a point where we were making more money on the property. But
I think I was just so excited because being where I'm at in life, this is my first home ever that I've purchased. And so really for years I've been, just watching the market, and I think the last couple of years I've tried to go and get approved and just didn't get approved for as much as I was hoping for with the job that I was working currently. And so just to have the income and to finally be in a position where I knew literally any house we were looking at, we could go buy. And I think, yeah, just the excitement kind of carried me through it. But then with the actual loan process, that was pretty stressful. It was an everyday roller coaster. oh, this is awesome. Oh man, this really sucks. Like it just, I feel like, I don't know. It was like they were coming back every day. Like, oh, this is the wrong document, or we need more of this, or we need more proof of this. And
that was really hard too, because we're not home. So
yeah.
I'm in California. Well, we're in California, and they're like, oh, we need last week's pay stub. I can't do anything. So and everything took longer than it should because of that. And
it was like weeks.
They were kind of unorganized in that aspect. It was just one thing after another. It was like, oh, we asked for the wrong thing, and we need this instead. And
like we had you sign here, and you should have signed here.
Oh.
And we were like, what is going on? Like, like it was just really stressful. And I'm like, but I think we kind of saw the light at the end of the tunnel, I guess, like the end outcome. We were just like, we committed to this and we're going to do it. And I think, like she said, if nothing else, we had a place where, I mean, we have our own place, and it's better than paying $1,000 in rent in an apartment somewhere and just throwing money away. Like, at least this way, even though we're paying a little bit, we're still paying less than we would in rent, and we're still saving money.
Yeah.
and we own it.
And you own it. You're going to be able to grow the equity and everything. And at the same time, you're only paying like, what is that, like $400, $500 maybe at most out of your pocket, instead of, like you said, $1,000 renting someplace else or buying a house yourself. You'd be paying that $1,400. So now you're only paying what, $400 or $500. And in the end, once we get rid of the PMI, that's going to drop that down even more. We get this one rented, you're going to be making a lot of money. Now, when you talked about the mortgage, that's literally going to happen every single time. Mortgage companies, they're rough. I mean, I would say they just have so many underwriting. Like the underwriters have so many criteria. Like the mortgage brokers, like it's always going to be like that. Like, don't think it's going to get any better, because it probably won't. We just got to stick through it. I almost walked away from a few properties because the mortgage company was just, they were doing such a horrible job, but I stuck with it. I just made myself, okay, just put up with it. Just put up with it. Now I had to literally tell myself that every single time. In fact, I just refinanced, actually. So I'll show you a check. So I didn't even ask for money back, but I refinanced one of my houses in Texas. I got a check back for $801. I was like, I didn't ask for that back, but I got money back on my refinance. Like, okay, great. I mean, if I wanted to, I probably could have pulled out like $30,000 or $40,000. I didn't need to, so I didn't. I just want to get a lower interest rate 20-year loan.
Right.
But that process literally took like 2.5, almost 3 months. It was stupid. It was like, I have enough cash. I could pay off this loan, but I don't want to because I have low interest rates. Like, what is the deal with you not giving me this loan? Like, this is so ridiculous. But it's going to happen every time. We just got to be patient and until they literally say no, keep moving forward. Because imagine this deal. If you would have said no, or if I would have said no on other deals, we would have not had where we have now. So definitely push through that. It's irritating, but you can push through it. Now, what are your guys' thoughts about how quickly do you think you would be able to move in the next property? Is it going to be as hard as the first one, or as the second one or third one? Do you think it's going to come easier?
It'll be a little easier in the aspect of we've been through it now and have the, just getting through that first one and the experience of knowing the questions to ask. And but right now, I think we got to go through the process and of setting up the business and finding a new team, a property manager if we're going to go that route, all that. So we've got a few steps to go through first. But I think if we were going to do, I guess right now, because we're in the FHA, we'd have to come up with a little bit more money if we were going to buy something conventional.
I think the first step is refinancing out of our FHA.
Yeah, so,
but after that, I think within a couple of months, there should be no reason why we're not moving forward with something.
Well, my suggestion would be doing all at the same time, because you can be researching, building your business, finding property managers, getting the refinancing done, because you're going to have to wait a little bit, because if you're going to refinance, usually it's about 6 months seasoning period before banks would be okay with a refinance. But it's literally start doing everything all at the same time, because if you're on the road driving, while Haley's driving, you could be working and vice versa. Like, just be working on it. Yes, absolutely. As best you can, start doing all this at the same time. And that's a lot of people, when I'm coaching them, like, should I do this first? Or should I do this first? Or this first? I said, you can literally do all of them at the same time, because think of it like a timeline. If we start once here, and there's 3 things to do. We start one and we wait until we finish that one to start the next one. Then the timeline gets longer. And then we wait until that's done before we start the next one. The timeline is very, very long, when in fact we can literally do all 3 or however many is at the same time, as long as we don't start dropping balls and things start. But this is so simple. Like, it's not easy, but it's simple. Just follow the steps. Right. You go 1, 2, 3, and you actually, you guys are actually living testimonies to this, that my goodness, if you just put your mind to it, we can absolutely do this. Now, was there any lessons learned or anything that you, other than like the mortgage, because we definitely, that's irritating, but anything else that you guys learned through this process that you could share to the rest of the audience?
I guess I just say ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. Because I guess we kind of assumed a lot of things, or just you don't know what you don't know, I guess.
It's our first property ever, so
we kind of like, there was things where I thought like the village tax, like I feel like I guess the realtor kind of should have just told us about that, but I don't know. So it's like just making sure that you are, I don't know, I guess asking all and knowing what questions to ask. And that's why we were kind of in touch with you and is this right? Is this right? Is this right? But I guess there were just still a few things that we missed. And yeah, just not being afraid, because that's literally their job, is to tell you, is to inform you. And so we kind of felt bad if we were asking him questions or bothering him or calling the realtor. And it's just no, that's literally their job. So don't be afraid to ask any question that you have.
I think that's a fantastic point. And I was even asking you guys, come on, ask me questions. We're coaching, and I'm like, to ask me questions. I want to help you guys out. But I was like, okay, let's keep moving forward. Ask me questions. I want to be there for you. Now, Haley, how about you? Do you have any words of advice or anything like that?
Aside from ask questions, that's huge, seriously. But I think for us, we spent
building the team,
time researching our realtor and mortgage broker, and I think we should have spent some more time doing that. I think we should have talked to some more people.
And we went with their inspector and their title company.
We should.
So I think maybe taking the time to maybe research other inspectors and title companies. Because we kind of just we're okay, well, they said this is who they always work with and they recommended them, so why not, but I don't know. I think there was a few things that kind of got missed or blown over that could have been better.
I think our the inspection went pretty well. It wasn't as thorough as that I would have liked, but then we were here walking through it. Because of COVID, we couldn't even see the property until we paid for an inspection. So we were here with the inspector, basically watching him do his job. Aside from, just building, spending some more time on building the team. Like I said, I don't have a property manager, or we don't have a property manager for this one. So I did speak to some property managers just to kind of get a feel for the area and what rents could be. And then I also, looked at comps and stuff. But I think in the future, that's something we're going to spend a lot more time on, is taking.
It's you put all the emphasis on that for a reason. And we kind of did our due diligence, but I guess, there's always more to be done. Yeah. So
when you guys are going hold that thought. When you guys are going out of state, absolutely. I will smack you upside the head if you don't do this the right way, because you must do it this right way, because you're going to fall into so many traps, and I'm trying to save you from all that. And sorry, go ahead, Haley.
I think that was a lot of it too, was that it was local. And so we were just we know the area and we know this, and we know we're not doing a property manager. And so we and being the first one, I think the excitement kind of took over, and then just all of it coming together, we got to jump on this property because there's not a lot of duplexes available, and just kind of I don't know. It was just and we have been looking at properties for years. So it was just once we found one, we're let's just get this done. we just
and the numbers worked out. We did check that first.
Yeah, so good.
It didn't match the 1% rule exactly, but as far as the income and the expenses.
And absolutely. And that's what I love about coaching, is giving all my students as many options as possible. And then as best as we can, saving money. You made $1,000 from that sale, basically got $1,000 off the purchase price. That's a lot of money. That's not it's not $50,000, but shoot, $1,000 is $1,000. That's that you paid $3,500 to buy this house. That's $1,000 back, basically in your pocket. So you only paid $2,500 compared to what they, the realtor would have said, no, you got to add $5,000 on top of what they're wanting. And for everybody listening and watching this, this is literally you just heard, this is literally during COVID. This is right now. And people are saying, well, how are you finding properties to invest in that actually make you cash flow? And there are plenty of properties all over the place. We just got to know how to do it. And we just need to know how to, as investors, make sure we're doing everything the right way. So does that make sense? What are you guys' thoughts about doing everything the right way in the future?
I like that idea a lot.
So our current plan, just to like bounce this off you too. So what we want to do is kind of like I said, to stay here. And then we plan on investing out of state and using property managers. Because right now I'm using Cozy to manage our tenant, which has been wonderful. But in any other property that we're not living next door, I don't want to be doing that, just for the risk and us being gone all the time. So our plan, I think right now we were kind of thinking staying here and then investing out of state where prices are a little cheaper, and hopefully putting as much cash down so that we can refinance, pull that cash out and go buy another one, so that we'd have, I think we're thinking more duplexes right now, just for the first couple properties, because it worked out well with the first one. So that would end up, what was that, 5 units, right?
Yeah.
Matt?
I totally think you should do both, like literally both. Imagine buying another duplex just like you have right now for another $3,500. Like you did it all over again. I mean, you could easily scratch together $3,500 to buy another house, another duplex that you can utilize as your own personal residence. And then at the same time, you're saving up money and investing in other states, which is what we do. We find other areas have property managers manage them. I would literally do both. I mean, shoot, you could easily save up $3,500 to buy another house.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's just like getting out of the one FHA, and then really the duplex. Like I said, we went out of our area a little bit to find this one. And one thing our realtor told us, like, because this one's a side by side, a lot of them that are on the market were uppers and lowers, and they were literally everyone we saw was like off the market within a week. So he's like, if you see a side by side that you like, you got to put an offer in on it. And a little bit closer to town where we wanted to be, they were going for like $270. Yeah, so that's where we'd like to be, with like the big fenced in yard and a garage and all that with the dogs.
The rents out there are also like $1,700 a month.
Yeah, so we could charge. Yeah, so it's like we could go, but then we were just thinking we wanted to keep our debt to income ratio down. We didn't want to have a huge mortgage for our first property. So what would you think about that? Like going into that area and having that big of a mortgage, would that be like?
I think it'd be a great idea, especially because the rents are high. As long as we always pencil out to where our passive income is going to be at least $250 per property. Now, duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, and whenever I say single family home, that's 4 units and below. Multifamily would be 5 units and above. So if you're going to buy anything that's going to be single family home, 4 units and below, you want to at minimum have $250 in passive income. Now, when you get to duplex, triplexes, and fourplexes, the minimum doesn't like double, like 2 units at $500 and then $750 and $1,000. It's not necessarily that, because it's going to be hard to hit that. But what you would do is like $250 if it's 1 unit, and then if it's 2 units, maybe it'd be $400. And if it's 3 units, you're probably about $550, $600. And at 4 units, you probably minimum you want to get is about $750. So just keeping that in mind, because we don't invest for appreciation. Appreciation is great, but what keeps us obviously paying for our food and everything, as well as when their market does correct or there is something happening that makes literally everything go bad, we're still making money in passive income. So we don't worry about the appreciation. Appreciation will be great. But thinking about your question about the debt to income ratio, that's a good thought. But here's a big thing. As long as your income is greater and you're buying a house or a duplex or a triplex, you're buying something that's actually making you more money, your debt to income ratio, remember, it's debt, but then to income. You're actually making more income. And so it really plays out to be in your benefit to have more properties.
In debt to income ratio, do they take like monthly what the price of the mortgage would be versus like what you're making in rent and like account for that? Or are they going to just account for the entire price of the property? And then, do you get what I'm saying?
No, I do. And that's a great question. And the reason why it's a great question, you might not be knowing you're asking this, but this is something you got to think about. If you're going to be buying another duplex, you cannot count on that income before you buy it. The banks will not allow you to utilize that income. So what might be good is, if you're going to be doing this, you're going to be buying another house, is let's say you move out of your current house and just put your location at your parents' house. And obviously you're driving a lot and you're trying to buy a new house. Then you can have that duplex rented that you're currently living in now. So you have that income coming in. So it shows income, because that's what they just want to prove, the income. And then you're not paying your own rent because you're living, say at your parents' house on paper. And then you buy a duplex or a triplex, or you buy something else where you're now moving into that. Then they're not going to be looking at your first house, the duplex that you have, as being a loss. And so when you look at, and debt to income is rather interesting how they actually do that. I'm not very good at like accounting at all. Like I hate accounting personally, really hate it. And so usually I'll just ask my accountants, or really, actually don't even ask the accountant, ask your mortgage brokers. Literally say, here's what I want to do. I want to buy this house. And they'll tell you yes or no on what it is. So as far as actually how it plays out, I just rely on the experts to actually do it. So I think you guys go the same direction with getting another duplex. I think that would be fantastic. Refinance the FHA, get into conventional, and then getting another duplex. But at the same time, we need to be building another area outside of the state that you're in a whole brand new area where you're going to be building it right. Like having property managers, contractors, realtors, like you're going to have the whole business set up. And at the same time, you're going to be buying properties. You're going to be like you like to do. You want to buy it cash, refinance, pull the cash out, and do it all over again. Eventually, every single investor, we should work towards getting to where we can do that BRRRR strategy, where we buy it with cash, eventually fix it up, rehab it, and get rented, and then refinance and pull the cash out and do it all over again. I mean, that's how I scaled my business so much, is by just recycling that money over and over again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I really want to get into that. And I was like, something I wanted to ask is like really just like as easy as it sounds, like you said, because if you have to have so much equity in the house in order to pull it back out, but then you also have to account for that higher mortgage and making enough in rent when you do refinance it, right? But it's like, as long as you cover all those numbers, and like you said, then you're just pulling that money back out and recycling it.
Yes, absolutely. It's really as easy as that sounds. It's just going through the steps, making sure that you're accounting for all your expenses, making sure you're accounting for your mortgage and the increase in the mortgage, and making sure that you already have a business. Now, one tip that I would always give is making sure, because I had some people ask me, well, should I just do the refinance right now? I'm like, well, I would hold off until you absolutely know you can deploy that money into a property. Because if you got the refinance right now, you're going to be paying interest for a couple of months, maybe 3, 4, or 5, maybe a long time before you actually build the business, find the right property, buy it. What I would do is I would be building the business now, obviously thinking about refinancing and all that sort of stuff, but build the business right now in whatever city you're going to be investing in. And at the same time, in building that business, you're getting everything lined up. Your financing, your debt to income ratio, you're talking to your mortgage brokers, like literally everything lined up so that when it's time, if you're doing a refinance, you're cashing it out at the right time to actually buy the next property or the first property. So that's, it's really, honestly, it's much easier than it sounds. It seems scary because all the debt and all that sort of stuff, but literally it's, as long as you're running through the numbers, you're making sure you're accounting for expenses. After you've already built the business, then you can deploy that money into a property. You're going to do very, very well.
And so like our lender's going to be like, okay, you own this, and this property. They want to see statements on each one and all that stuff. It's literally just producing documents.
Correct. And usually it'll just be your tax returns. That's really what they're going to want. Like I haven't had a job for like 4 years, and they can't say, or they can try ask, can we get a W-2? I'm like, I don't have a W-2. I don't have a job. So they just literally, they just want to prove that I can pay the money back. In fact, I just refinanced one of my income properties, one of my investment properties, refinanced it to a lower note, and they just needed my tax returns plus lots of documentation, like the list of all the properties, my bank accounts. They need to see all that stuff because they just need to verify. It's so much easier for them to verify a W-2. Like, okay, he has a job. This is how much you're making. Good. And then they check that box off. When you have your own income from other places, then they just have to do a little more verifying. But it's really super easy. And I would encourage you guys to keep going down the route of a couple things. Number one, getting another house hack. Do another house hack. And if you could put $3,500 down on another house and do another house hack, you'll have 4 units. That would just be phenomenal. At the same time, looking at building in another state where you're going to have property managers and really just getting a portfolio. I mean, shoot, in 5 years, if you guys work hard, I could see you guys at least getting to 10, maybe even 15 properties, making close to, I don't know, $5,000-$6,000 a month in passive income if you guys keep working as hard, because you guys are hard workers. For everybody listening, I would say that you guys, I definitely know that you guys are hard workers. You'll definitely get it done. So if you just keep moving, keep working hard, I think you guys are going to do fantastic. So I'm really encouraged by you. And I hope everybody listening and watching this is absolutely encouraged, because your story is testament that really, literally anybody can do this. Like, I'm just a normal guy that's just figured out how to do this, and I want to share with everybody. You guys are great, normal people just like us. And so I really, really appreciate you guys. Do you have anything else to add before we jump off?
I don't know. You just said to keep investing in duplexes and another house hack. And I just thought about, there's a property right next door that's identical to the one that we own, and it's in a lot worse shape. And we've talked endlessly about offering the owner of that a chunk of cash and
like, let us take this off your hands because you don't care about it, obviously. So.
You should, honestly. You literally should. Do you have contact with the owner?
Not yet. No, we haven't gotten that far, but we drive by it every time we come home. And it's like I said, it's identical to the one that we're in, but it was updated 30 years ago, not 10 years ago.
This could be a great opportunity for you. So you need to figure out who the owner is, and then really just approach them and say, hey, I'd love to, like, we just bought this one next door. We live in it and we see this one. We'd like to take care of it and fix it up. And we're investors too. And so we would actually get good tenants in there, take care of the tenants or whatever. I would absolutely wholeheartedly say do that, because that gives you a leg up, in my opinion, because you already know that it's a not so well run property. And those ones, usually the owners are like, man, I just want to get off my hands. Reach out. The worst they could do is say no. And that's fine. Right. Then we just move on.
Yeah, that might have to be the next move.
And so for financing for that one, there's so many other ways to finance. Everything from if you wanted to use hard money to get an actual loan, like use the hard money. This is advanced strategy. We could definitely talk about this later, but use hard money to pay for the down payment, unless you guys have the down payment, but just basically get another loan. And because you guys have income now, you have the income from the property, you have your own income, you probably could just get this with, if you are able to come up with a 20% down payment, hard money, private money, signature loans, lots of different ways to do it, and buy this one with a regular conventional loan. Then you get it rented out. Then you literally have 4 units, you living in one. That's another great amount of income. So there's so many different options out there. And I would say, as long as you start going towards it, then we can absolutely figure out how to get it paid for. Because if it's a good deal, it's a good deal. We're not going to let anything stop us.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Really.
Cool. Well, good, guys. Well, thank you so much for sharing everything about what you guys did, and really inspiring. I'm inspired from hearing this. I'm like, man, if I would have heard this when I was younger, I would have done this, but I had no clue. I eventually figured this out, but I'm super excited for you guys, and I hope everything goes really well for your continued investing. You guys stay safe on the road, but I appreciate you guys being on.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
Thanks for letting us share.
All right, guys, take care. Man, wasn't that a fantastic story? I know for me, it really encourages me as I see regular, everyday people, just normal people just like us, invest and do this and be successful. It is not hard. It's simple. In fact, you can do this. And I want to get you started. Remember, get my real estate investing course completely for free, masterpassiveincome.com/free course, and I'll get that to you. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you being here with me. I will see you guys next week. See ya.